I spent a lot of my time as a school leader, and for the last 6 or 7 years have talked with, listened to, been privileged to go into the schools of hundreds of different leaders. And you know, the one thing that I'm absolutely clear about is there is no one leadership strategy. There is no one leadership style. And actually, as a leader, I adopt different approaches according to the need of the hour. But there will be one thing about me which stands out as the way in which I work with my school, my team. Over the last decade, we've become increasingly clear about what great schooling looks like. We understand school improvement much more than we ever did before. And that understanding has changed our own perspective on leadership. So while we are interested in leadership and management of the organization, its administration, our primary focus today around the world, whether we are in a privileged or an economically challenged environment, whether in a rural school or in the middle of a metro, our biggest focus now is around the leadership and the management of teaching and learning.
We analyzed our results from the reviews that had happened across 400 schools. And we find that leadership and management is one of the performance areas which turns out to be pretty good because the administration and management of our school leaders is actually great. It's the bit that involves the leadership of teaching and learning that needs to be re-looked at, probably across the country. This requires leaders to put together a leadership team, identify their roles and responsibilities in terms of what are the student outcomes that are expected, what sort of classroom should be happening in the school, as in what do we look for when we walk into a class for an observation. It also involves the students' data in the book look as well as in their assessments to see what is it that the children are doing, how are they engaged, are they actually creating work on their own, is there independent learning happening. So for this to take place, the leadership team has to be extremely clear about what data is to be monitored and how do we find out what's going on. And for that to happen, you need a leadership and management training program that says this is what a leader is meant to do, whether you're a middle leader or you're a teaching leader or a subject department leader.
When we had the leaders review from Adhyayan, they too had this question about the clarity of our roles. We have leaders in place and we are very good teachers, of course, but the leaders did not have their roles specified. So we thought that was very important for our teachers to know who should be the go-to person when they have a problem. So it actually gave us clarity on our roles as leaders in the school.
The biggest thing that would have to change in schools was the leader coming out of their office and walking into classrooms. Because that's the thing that doesn't happen. You're so busy with your administration and your management that you never walk into a classroom to see what's going on inside there. If you look at the diagnostic, it says that the leaders work alongside teachers to be able to deliver what good teaching is. We've often asked leaders to sit at the back of a class and watch for the whole day to see what the student experience in their school is. That gives them the data to say, how do I work with my teachers? And that shift, which is there in the diagnostic as leaders working alongside teachers to help them to become more, to run more engaged classrooms, that's what we really want to focus on.
The 2 days worth of training that we've had for our school principals, 20 of them, they have been very thought-provoking. And I think we got a lot of value out of it because our principals were assisted to look at how they could be performing their roles better. And also, in a sense, it demonstrated how a class should be. Because it utilized a range of different tools, a range of different strategies, whereby there was some group work, there was some plenary sessions, some breakout sessions, some games, some quizzes, some lecturing. A whole range of pedagogical tools were employed, which in a sense is a demonstration of how a teacher should be in a class as well. So it was also demonstrating good practice.
One of the great things about current educational research is it confirms almost every prejudice I've ever had, which is it's great teachers that make great learning. And it's when all of the teachers come together, focused on a common vision, supported through professional development, which is promoted by their leaders, that's how you make great schools. So for me, John Hattie talks about collective teacher efficacy. That's my first job.
We linked the leadership and management professional development with the entire life cycle of reviews, because between the first and the second review, a leader needs to be able to change the practice of teaching and learning in the classroom. And to do that, they need to think together as a cohort on how do we do that? How do we build our leadership team? How do we focus them on data? What is the literacy and numeracy level in our school? And how do we begin to understand what 1 year's shift looks like? So if we introduce them to John Hattie, we introduce them to Vivian Robinson's work and to Michael Fullan, and to say, this is the kind of work that's happening across the world. Would you like to get some information from it and use it in your own practice? We find that there are two things that have changed because of the leadership programs. One is that the leaders are monitoring whether there is an impact of the training programs for teachers in the classroom by checking whether the teacher's practice has changed. And the second is, as a result of the change of that practice, is there an impact on students' outcomes? Not just in terms of their grades and their scores, because that's always important for parents, but also, are they becoming critical thinkers? Are they collaborating? Are they becoming problem solvers? And is the empathy level in the students rising? These are the critical 21st century skills that children need today. They need to learn how to learn. So is that happening? And if the school leader has got focused on that, we're getting a lot of evidence that that is happening in the classrooms.
To know more about the program, write to us at info@adhyayan.asia or register an enquiry with us on our website www.adhyayan.asia. Also follow us on social media.